The hardest class to play, the weakest class to play. I'm trying to think of a title for this AD&D vlog. A wizard is the weakest class. A wizard is the hardest class to play. I guess what I'm trying to capture here is in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, given how lethal the game is, the various character classes are not equal. And I mean that in a very positive way. They level up differently. They are different. They excel in different situations. And if you can leverage their strengths and weaknesses, not just with ability scores, but natural abilities and spells and the use of equipment, that's the tactica that you want to use. And of course, you want to work as a party to make that possible. And when we look at magic in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, we'd call that arcane magic. It is extremely, extremely powerful. On a side note, there's a lot of familiar D&D spells along the way. And over various editions, some have been changed, but for the most part, the flavor, as part of the D&D mythology, the flavor is still the same. If you have a chance to look at spells in AD&D compared to the other editions of D&D, or just the current edition of D&D, you see, wow, AD&D spells are extremely powerful, especially with what you're hitting. There's no hit point bloat, and resistances are a little bit harder to come by. So from that perspective, magic is extremely, extremely powerful. And this idea of difficulty checks in now D&D versus fixed number saving throws, yeah, there's some monsters that are highly magic resistant, and you're going to have to get lucky with them failing a saving throw. But from the other perspective, to be able to charm, to be able to immobilize, to be able to compel, very, very powerful in AD&D. Now that's offset by the fact that magic takes a long time to learn. So the experience point progression takes a long time as a magic user. Having that bonus for intelligence, that 5 or 10% bonus, is massive. It adds up. It doesn't make a mage impossible to play, but it helps. Compared to other character classes that'll give you a bonus for primary attributes. Look, it's nice. I'm going to take it. I want it. But playing a fighter or a thief, if I don't necessarily have that, yes, I'm not hitting as hard, but I would still level up. I'll still level up pretty fast. And then, of course, that's balanced out by the fact that your hit points as a magic user or an illusionist subclass, you don't have any hit points. You've just got the triangle. That's it. You're not even sad at face if you roll a 1 on a 1d4 because you're like, look, the best I could do was rolling a 4. Let me tell you, the most stressful character class I've ever played across all editions of D&D, all editions, Barbarian. Rolling a d12 or a d10, depending on the edition of D&D, for hit points. Okay, look, I know the meta, I know the stats, we've got the curve up, I'm probably going to roll a 5 or 6. At worst, I'll roll a 4. Yeah, that exists like in math land. In D&D reality land, I only roll 10s, and then it falls off the table on the floor, so it doesn't count. Or I'm rolling like 1s and 2s. You want to talk about stress? Being a barbarian, a 4th level barbarian with 12 hit points because you've got your con bonus, you've got your primary start max, and then 2 levels of rolling 1s and 2s. What the heck have I been doing adventuring? I'm lifting weights, I'm getting pumped, I'm diesel, and I roll a 1? I mean, just talk about stress rolling for hit points. It's almost like, do I want to roll hit points or do I just want to take the medium? I don't know. Well, chaotic neutral Fritz, I'm always going to roll the dice. But exploring that with a magic user, there's zero stress. I don't want a 1, but I was only going to get a 4. I'll probably roll a 2. If I get 3, I'm happy, but I'm really not that much ahead. So wizards are very squishy, even from that perspective, armor class. Their armor class, bracers, ring of protection, some other magic stuff, it's not really going to happen. Now, I could mirror image, blur, other types of spells to protect myself, stone skins up, all that type of stuff, fire shields, red, blue. But when that happens, that's taking away spell slots. I mean, shield, ghost armor. We're familiar with these spells. That takes up spell slots. It's also timing. When do I cast it? How long does it last? And it's still not really that amazing. So, the number one rule of playing a magic user is, look, don't get hit. Don't get hit. Don't get hit. So from that perspective, I find a magic user in AD&D Very, very rewarding to play, yes. And you want to talk about ego, power trip, blasting out spells. Yes, absolutely. But in terms of survivability and the hardest class to play, given how lethal AD&D is, yes, absolutely. Layered over this, if we're playing with... Now, I will say, when I play AD&D, we're all in for the rules. If you could qualify for a bard, you could do a bard. If you got lucky and rolled psionics and you're like, I don't know, I created a character, Fritz was like, roll for this, and I rolled it, and somehow I got 100 to confirm psionics, and like the gaming store just shut down because people couldn't believe someone actually rolled psionics for AD&D. Like, yeah, we play as written, raw, rules as written. So I'm not opposed to house rules, but from that perspective, playing a magic user, and the AD&D games that I play in, I really enjoy it. Of course, the DM, they're going to be the driver. They're creating the world. They're doing it. I'm honored to be a part of their table and partake in the adventure that they have selected. But I like AD&D DMs, the two that I play with, that play rules as written. So I'm playing a magic user, which I regularly do. I try to do, I should say. Depends on the stats that I roll. Yes, it spell components, time to cast, segments, range. I'm going to drop a fireball right there. You drop a fireball right there, you're going to kill the whole party. It's going to explode out. No, it's good. It's good. This is D&D, right? My magic doesn't magically affect other magic players in my party, and everyone's magical. So I can just drop fireballs on top of myself, and nothing happens, and the party's fine. DM's like, no, you drop that fireball. Oh, lightning bolts bounce. What? I'm going to cast a lightning bolt. Wall 20 feet away. You're just in a room. It's just going to bounce around and blast everybody. Like, those are other elements. Magic is a science in D&D. It is a science in D&D. There's a lot to do. So once you include that, once you include spell components, once you include segments and time to cast, it's very powerful. But there's a lot of calculations. There's a lot of what if. You have to time your spells perfectly. It's not just like, oh, roll a d20 and see what happens. Or, oh, I auto cast, I auto hit, I auto do everything, make a difficulty check, with my abilities and stuff, DC 25, they fail, 10 monsters down, chew through those stat blocks. You're like, what? Like, no, magic is hard. Magic is hard to play in AD&D. And I personally enjoy that. So in terms of the most difficult character class to play, challenging, where you have to be exact, you have to be on it, you have to be ready, I would vote for the magic user. Now, turning it over to my fellow D&D enthusiasts, we're talking about AD&D here. Every edition, this potentially changes based on the rules. In Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, the hardest character class to play in that it's not forgiving. You need to be this. You need to be exact here, and here. And if you mess up, there's no reserves. Yes, I'm 5th level, and I've got 11 hit points. That's okay for the magic user. That is extreme sad face for the barbarian.